has no money and still pretends, he said. Fang Qing pressed her palms together, excited. She smiled and tugged his sleeve. No money and still lying to people, she said. Let's go take the house right now, she said, pointing at the door. Chen Hao reached down and grabbed a metal bat. The three of them headed out together. Chen Hao rested the bat on his shoulder. Today we throw him out of this neighborhood. The next morning, the sun hit the buildings harder than it should have. The three of them walked side by side, still smiling. They had no idea what was coming. Fang Qing stopped and grabbed her head. Why is it so hot? She gasped. His mother wiped the sweat off her forehead. It's just a little warm, she said. Stop complaining. Then Fang Qing pointed toward the fountain. Wait, she said. Something is wrong. The fountain still ran, but the trees around the plaza had changed. Something about them looked wrong. Back in my villa, the table was covered with food. Meat, salad, fresh fruit, a bottle of good wine. I raised the glass. The red wine caught the light. I took a sip and smiled. It was here. Everything I said was coming true. Outside, Fang Qing's face was covered in sweat. The sky behind her glowed orange. This weather is insane, she said. She looked up, her skin already turning red. My face is burning, she said. Chen Hao's mother stared down the street. The trees had turned brown and bare. The trees, she whispered. They are already dead. She pushed through a crowd of people. Why is everyone standing around here? She asked. The three of them walked closer. A huge dead tree stood in the middle of the path. People gathered around it. Someone reached out and touched the bark. The trunk had cracked in half, completely dry, completely dead. Fang Qing pointed at it. It burned to charcoal, she said. Everyone around her looked just as shocked. Chen Hao stared at the dead tree. His face had changed. Was Lin Chuan right? He said quietly. Two men in the crowd looked at each other. Is it really the end of the world? One of them asked. Someone set a fire, his mother snapped. I'm on the community committee. I'll check the cameras and find who did this. She stood between the crowd and her son, one hand on her chest. I will get to the bottom of this. A security camera hung on the wall above them, its red light blinking. I will find this person, she said through her teeth. A young man stepped forward, sweat running down his neck. This isn't someone setting fires, he said. It's the middle of March. He looked up at the burning orange sky. Every tree behind him was bare and dead. Inside someone's apartment, the air conditioner was set to 16 degrees. It made no difference. This weather is not normal, the young man said, turning to face her. She forced a smile. 2 hot days and you all lose your minds? She turned to the crowd. The government is handling it. They're busy with important things. She waved her hand at them. If you're hot, go home and turn on your air conditioning. A large man in a yellow shirt clenched his fist. If the temperature keeps going up, he said, every crop in the ground will burn. The farmland stretched to the hills, dry and dead under the orange sky. 2 men talked quietly. Maybe we should start storing food, one of them said. Store what? She put her hands on her hips. This is all nonsense. She raised a finger at the crowd. If something was really wrong, do you think I wouldn't tell you? She was still going. The committee mother pointed at the men in front of her. Nobody rushed to buy food, she said. If prices go up, who takes responsibility? The man in the yellow shirt looked at her with tired eyes. Our rice jar at home is almost empty, he said. 3 men stood at the edge of the crowd. The one in front had blonde hair and a scar under his eye. He was already smiling. A woman with long red hair walked beside him. Remember a couple days ago, she said, everyone saw the trucks at Lin Chuan's villa. He bought 20 million worth of supplies and locked them inside. She held the blonde man's hand as they walked. That's enough food for a whole year, she said. More people followed behind them. But what if he won't share with us? Someone asked. The blonde rested a metal bat on his shoulder. This many people, he said. You think we can't take one house? Shovels and rakes rose into the orange sky. The mob was ready. I sat at my table with a slice of watermelon in my hands. Cold, sweet, and perfect. Then a warning tone went off through the house. I looked up. Extreme heat alert. Outdoor temperature had reached 40 degrees Celsius, so it finally started. 5 degrees higher each day for the next month. Until it reached 80. I looked at the dead trees outside the window and took a bite. The real suffering had not even begun. Then a voice came from outside. Someone was shouting my name. A man stood at my glass wall with a bat over his shoulder. Open the door, Lin Chuan, he shouted. Hand over your supplies. Every last bit of it, he said. Now. I took another bite of watermelon and looked right at him through the glass. He could scream all day. Behind me on the table sat a plate of shrimp, chocolate cake, and fresh juice. The man in the yellow shirt pressed his hands to the glass. How can one person eat all this? He shouted. Slices of cold watermelon sat on a bed of ice. I had saved them for exactly this kind of day. A fist slammed against the glass from outside. One of the men pounded with both hands. We've been neighbors for years, he shouted. This isn't right. They had seen the back room. Boxes of vegetables, fruit, rice, water stacked floor to ceiling. The woman in red stood between 2 of the men. You're eating like this alone, she said, and you won't share a single bite? Her eyes narrowed. That's too much, Lin Chuan. She pressed her palm against the glass and leaned in close. Through the glass door, I could count a dozen pairs of legs standing in my yard. I reached across the table and picked up a kitchen knife. Just for the fruit. I wiped my mouth with a napkin and stood. Everything in this house was bought with my money, I said. What right do any of you have to demand it? I looked through the glass at the crowd. The blonde thug, the woman, and a mob of desperate neighbors behind them. The blonde stepped up to the glass and raised one hand. Brother Lin Chuan, he said. It's just food. Don't be so stingy. He laughed. You always liked Qinjing, didn't you? The red-haired woman waved and smiled. I was cold to you before, she said sweetly. That was my mistake. She pressed her hands together and tilted her head. But I can give you a chance now. She placed her hands on her chest. Share the food with everyone, and I'll eat dinner with you tonight. She leaned against the glass and looked up at me. She was very sure of herself. She really thought she was a prize. I looked at her and felt nothing. I laughed. Let me make something clear, I said. Her smile disappeared the second she heard my tone. Her fists tightened at her sides. Where does this confidence come from? I asked, looking straight at her. Did you think I would chase after you forever? I stood with my hands in my pockets. You've gone too far, Lin Chuan, she said. The blonde pointed his bat at me through the glass. Don't push your luck, he said. A few days ago, Qin Jing and I helped you find a loan, he said. Remember that? He lowered the bat toward me. All the food and water you have now? I turned away from the window. I had heard enough lies. We're starving out here, he shouted, and you won't share a single meal? Where is your conscience? The mother raised her hand toward the burning sky. When this heat wave passes, she said, I will go to the committee myself and get you an award. She stood at my window like she was doing me a favor. A good neighbor certificate, she said with a bright smile. Your name right on it. I took a slow sip of my soda. A certificate, I said. I raised the glass. The ice clicked together inside. You want to trade my food for a piece of useless paper? Fangqing walked up to the glass and stared at my drink. Is that soda? She asked. I am so thirsty. Outside, the whole city cooked under the sun. Not a single person on the streets. Just heat. She pressed her palms together and smiled. I want some too, she said. Please. I held the glass and grinned. Funny. Just 2 days ago, you said everything I stored was garbage. Her smile stayed in place. That was just a joke, she said. I was playing around. I tilted the glass in my hand. The ice shifted inside. Then I leaned over and poured every last drop into the trash can. Even if I dump it all, I said, I would never give you any. Fangqing's face turned red. It is just a cup of soda, she snapped. Chen Ha stepped forward, face tight with anger. Lin Chuan, you have gone too far, he said. I held out my empty hand. I only poured out 1 cup of soda. Why is everyone so angry? I smiled at them through the glass. They were so easy to bother. I turned to the table behind me. Roasted chicken, grilled fish, noodles, soup, fruit. Enough for a feast. I grinned. If 1 cup of soda made them this angry, the next part would be even better. I picked up a plate of watermelon and held it over the trash can. Might as well throw these out too, I said. The crowd slammed their hands against the glass. Open the door, someone screamed. You cannot waste food like that. More people crowded the window. The banging got louder. Open up, they shouted. I held up 2 empty plates and grinned. Everyone, please keep going, I said. Do not stop now. I set a plate down on the table. A crowd this lively, I said. I think I should open a bottle of 1982 wine. It would be a waste not to have good wine for a show like this. I looked toward the kitchen. I walked away from the window. Let them watch me go. Later, across the neighborhood, the 3 of them sat in a living room. The mother fanned herself. That boy Lin Chuan is nothing but trouble, she said. The air conditioner on the wall showed 16 degrees. Outside the window, the sky burned orange. I am going to file a report with the committee, the mother said, her voice sharp. On the side table sat a single glass of water. That was all they had left to drink. I will have that selfish man kicked out of this community, she said. Her fan shook with every word. Chen Hao tugged at his collar and looked up at the ceiling. Forget about Lin Chuan for now, he said. When will this heat end? Outside, in the neighborhood pond, a fish floated belly up. Dead from the heat. Fangqing sat quietly for a moment. Something does not feel right, she said. She turned to the mother. What if Lin Chuan was telling the truth the whole time? Her voice dropped. What if the end of the world is really coming? The mother turned on her. Nonsense, she said. It is just that brat scaring everyone. On the table beside the couch sat a face mask and a few bottles of medicine. Small things saved from before the heat. We survived epidemics. We survived everything, the mother said. A little heat means nothing. Fangqing looked away. Outside, people were already turning on each other. 2 pairs of hands pulled at the same cabbage. Neither one would let go. In the courtyard, a man crouched on the dry ground, a water bottle pressed to his chest. 2 others stood over him. Chen Hao walked outside and found them. What are you doing? He said. 2 men were shoving each other over a head of lettuce. Chen Hao watched from behind. You are hoarding supplies, he said. The mother stood beside him, hands on her hips. He crossed his arms. Did I not tell everyone in the group chat? She said. No panic buying. No fighting over food. No hoarding. Her teeth were clenched. She faced the men, one of them still holding his cabbage. You are treating my words like nothing, she said. She set the glass down on the table. I had nowhere else to go, she said. So I came to you. Thank you for letting me in, Fangqing said. She looked up at me from the couch, still a little pale but breathing normally again. I rested my chin on my hand. You didn't have any medicine at home? I told you to stock up. I had a full kit on the table. Pills, bottles, everything she should have prepared weeks ago. I had bought entire boxes of medicine before the heat got bad. They were stacked against the wall, enough for months. I did buy some, she said, pressing her fist against her chest. I really did. Her fingers twisted together in her lap. She was nervous about something. But Auntie Chen got a fever too, she said quietly. She came and took all of my medicine. I tilted my head. Are you sure she borrowed it? I could picture it. The old woman standing at Fangqing's door pointing a finger at her. If you won't help an old lady, you have no heart. That face was full of anger, not pain. She was not asking, she was forcing. I didn't expect her to act like that, Fangqing said. She looked helpless standing in front of the old woman.